I speak about on this podcast, I'm not just pulling things from the air. I'm not just preaching to you or anything like that. I too have had a whole phase. Hey y'all, welcome back to Spoken Like a True Goddess podcast, a space curated for goddesses worldwide. It's me, your host Shekinah, and thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope everyone's feeling great and doing great. And I have to get better at this, but before we get started, if you could please subscribe if you haven't already. And throughout the video, if you could interact, that'll be great. And if you're listening from Apple or Spotify, hey. And if you haven't already, leave a review there. And yeah, our last episode did so well. Like, we got so many new subscribers here on YouTube. And I just wanted to say hi and welcome to everyone, all of our new subscribers. I really enjoyed doing that episode with Georgie. And yeah, so hi, thank you. I know a lot came from, she has like such a strong support group. So I know a lot came from there. So hey y'all, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about going from your Heaux phase, or that very free and liberating time that a lot of us women experience, and transforming more into a sacredness lifestyle or a sacredness phase. And it's all about evolution and evolving to being that divine woman, that divine feminine energy. It's not really about shame or one phase better than the other, but really just acknowledging the journey and where you are or where you have been on the journey, and transforming from that liberated freeness to more of a sacredness will also can embody that. Because a lot of times you can't even go to that full embodiment of your feminine energy, of your divinity, until you've had that phase, until you've been through that where it's like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me, or I don't care what anyone has to say, or that rebellious type of phase. So I want to really get into that. This was actually inspired by last episode, because there was a clip. So as y'all, I'm sure y'all watched it, but that conversation that I had with Georgie, we had such a good time. And it was a 2-hour conversation. But from there, I was taking clips like I always do. And one of the clips I had posted was when I was saying that there is a difference between sex work and like a partnership and marriage and things like that. And she didn't agree with that. So I posted that clip and she reposted it as well. And on TikTok, when I tell you, so many people were agreeing with her and kind of just saying like, oh, you know, I'm so delusional, and sex work and being a wife is the same thing. Like, men see it as the same thing. They're both just transactional, but the worker gets paid more or more frequently than the wife. She only gets paid once. And I'm just like, are y'all cool? Because there's a very clear difference. And like I said, I don't believe in like shaming or right and wrong or good and bad. And I honor everybody where they are on their journey, you know? So it's like, who am I to say that one is better than the other? Because I truly don't think or believe that. But I do think there's always a lot of miscategorizing and blurred lines when it comes to dating, love, and relationships nowadays. And I think that we have to stop doing that, because it's just muddying the waters and it's just making things difficult for everybody. And like I said, you can pick and choose what you want to do, but there has to be clear lines. Like, we cannot say that a sex worker and a wife shares the same responsibilities or has the same protections and things of that nature. And the reason why I say that is like, also there are very young girls or very impressionable people online, and they just take certain things and they run with it, and then they go down this rabbit hole into this lifestyle that they're not aware of. So I just feel like if we are going to say that, we one need to say the full picture, the good and the bad, and two, we need to properly categorize it. Yeah, everybody doesn't want to be a wife. A wife does come with a lot more responsibility than being in a non-committed relationship with a man. It does. But some people like that responsibility. Some people are built to take on that responsibility. Some people love taking care of their man, their kids, cooking, cleaning, finances, and all the things that come along with being someone's wife. Some people like that. Some people don't necessarily like that. That's fine. But we can't say that they're the same thing because they're not. And even when you enter into a relationship with a man, and that's not, and a lot of the feedback or whichever I was getting was always in relation to a man. Like, you shouldn't, that should be independent. If that's going to be how you decide to relate to men, it should be because you have decided, hey, this is exactly what I want, but not because you're trying to like one up a guy or anything in of that nature. Like, okay, yeah, well, guys treat their wives like this, so if I do this, then like I'll have a better experience with them. Is this what you really want to do, or are you just trying to one up a guy, which makes you very male centered anyways? So like I said, I just think that it has to be clear lines. If you take the same guy and let's say he has a wife and let's say he has a girlfriend or a sex worker, whichever, when God forbid, if anything happens to him, the wife is going to be the one with the more protection. So even if he is helping you with some bills or whichever the case is, that can stop at any time. Like, there's no real investment. And how I view it is that marriage is like equity. You're building equity into that situation. It's equity, it's an investment. Non-committal is just a job. When you stop working, you don't get paid. And that's even just only if we're even talking finances, okay? There's many more perks to partnership besides finances, but that was what a lot of the discussion around. So let's just take that alone. Even if that man is, oh, I'm tired of my wife. Oh, we're in a roommate stage. Oh, we not sleeping together. That we know all the things that men say when they trying to cheat on their wife. We know all the things. So no matter how he feels about her at that moment, that's his wife. She has equity in that situation. He cannot just get up and leave without repercussion, without consequence, and without having to split what they've built together. He can't just do that. With a girlfriend, with something that's non-committal, with something he has less skin in the game with, he can. So even on a financial level, it doesn't make that much sense. But I digress. So even when it comes to like young girls who are impressionable, who are just seeing like the glamorous parts of sex work or non-committal dating or transactional type of dating, it's misleading. I even had one girl, she was coming like, oh yeah, you know, men, da da da, and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, because I'm 19 and da da da. 19? You need to be splitting ramen with a boy in college that's in like a pre-med program or something. What business do you have selling coochie at 19? Like, give yourself a chance. And I feel like that's the main thing. You don't have to go down that route. Like, especially if you're 19, like the boys are still like young, they're still building, they're still like they're not as bitter and things like that. Like, they haven't gotten married yet, they haven't really had children yet. So why go and give your essence to some old man who's already had all these experiences and things like that, and now he's just trying to come and suck your young feminine energy for his own gain? Why not share and create experiences with a boy your own age? And like, yeah, a 19-year-old, you can't expect a 19-year-old to do what a 50-year-old man can do for you, but you're 19, you know? So that's my thing. Like I said, we have to stop miscategorizing, we have to stop blurring lines. That's all I have to say about that. But in today's episode, I do want to discuss going from that Heaux phase or that liberated phase and transitioning into a more of a sacredness. A whole phase is more of a sexual exploration or a sexual liberating phase. It's often rooted in attention seeking and hurt, disappointment, and rebellion and things of that nature. And like I said, anything that I speak about on this podcast, I'm not just pulling things from the air. I'm not just preaching to you or anything like that. I too have had a whole phase. Like I have been in those eras of life where, I'm young, I'm not really thinking of like the future or things of like that, and I'm operated from a place of hurt. I've had those times. But as I had to sit down with my mess and had to face myself, I was forced to face myself. That's when I started valuing myself in a way where it's like I couldn't even share my energy, my time, and definitely my vagina with a man who did not honor me. Now, when it comes to sacredness, sacredness is just returning to that divinity. It's just remembering the true essence you have as a woman before the hurt, before the disappointment, who you really are at the core and how powerful you really are. When you start to pull back all that hurt, all that disappointment, and truly see yourself for who you are, truly see the power that you have as a woman, that's when you enter that sacredness. And when it comes to sacredness, I speak a lot about celibacy and things like that. Celibacy is great, but really, what I mean when I'm talking about celibacy and sacredness and things of that nature is more being intentional with how you decide to use your energy, how and who you decide to share yourself with. It's more about being intentional versus cutting it off and saying, oh, I'm not going to have sex with anyone. I'm not going to do this, or using celibacy as a power move. But it's more being in control of your own body, in control of your own energy, and saying, hey, this is what needs to happen for me to feel comfortable sharing this experience with you. It's about honoring your body, honoring your energy, and viewing yourself as a sacred portal, not a currency, right? So that's why I feel like even when we go on the extreme end of, oh, celibacy, da da da, and oh, I'm not gonna have sex and all this other stuff, we're also on that extreme end of using it as some type of reward or currency, right? So you want to get to that point where you can find balance in it, where on a non-committal side, you're not just busting it open to receive things or just for a feeling to like get one off or something like that. But even on a sacred side, you're not using it as a way to reward or control a situation either. So you want to find that balance of I'm sharing this with you because I connect deeply with you. It's not a manipulation tactic, it's not a currency, but I connect deeply with you and I want to share this with you. Sex is not a bad thing. Sex is a beautiful thing. It is sacred. And when experienced with the right person, it's beautiful. It should be a priceless experience that's shared with whoever you connect with deeply. A lot of times we enter this whole phase because of disappointment, abandonment, rejection, and all types of negative wounds. It's rarely ever a true display of liberation or a true display of strength or power. It's usually rooted in very low self esteem, disappointment, rejection, and things of that nature. I know for me, when I was in that phase of my life appeared to be so glamorous, so free. I just looked like a free spirit. Oh, just having a blast, having a ball, you know, so many boyfriends and all this other stuff. But honestly, deep down inside, I was so broken. Like those times alone, I was so broken. But it appeared like, oh, this girl is free. She's living her life and she's da da da. But no, era of my life was truly promoted by hurt. Simple as that. It was a lot of things that I refused to deal with that just kept piling up on top of each other, and I just kept doing more and more things to not deal with it, but I was creating more situations that I was going to have to heal from. And that kept happening until I didn't have no choice but to sit down and face myself. And when I actually did, that's when I realized, like, wow, this sucks. Like, I'm very transactional with men, very transactional. Like, I was such an asshole in that part of my life, like, super transactional with men, never feeling anything with anyone, and lonely, very down, a lot of bad things. And that's why I hate seeing that online, because I too was able to display a very glamorous life. I too was able to fly here, go there, get these gifts, do this and all these other things, but deep down I was not fulfilled. I was not walking in who I am as a woman. I got derailed because of hurt. So that's why I feel like if we're going to talk about these things online, we need to tell the whole picture. If we're going to talk about being sexually liberated, if we're going to talk about being transactional with men, and yeah, there's levels to it. There's some people who are like true sex workers and things of that nature. And then there's some people who are just very black and white, like when it comes to just like their regular dating, right? But regardless of what it is, like, we have to tell the full story about that. Whenever you're dealing with a man and you're just trying to like outwit him and things like that, a lot of times you're the one who takes the emotional labor for that. If you have been lucky enough to actually connect with a man on a heart level, and you guys shared in that heart space where you can know that, okay, this guy loves me, he's connecting with me from here, and you sleep with that guy, and the experience that you have with that guy versus sleeping with a guy who only lusts after you, you can feel the difference. You can tell the difference when you're with the guy who connects to you from a heart space versus the guy who only sees you as pussy. You can tell the difference. You can feel the difference when you guys are sharing together. And after a while, that is taxing on a woman. Going from man to man, and only men are looking at you very transactionally because that's how you're presenting yourself, because you're trying to outwit someone, and sleeping with men who are just there to get one off, it's just very taxing for you over time. So that's why, like I said, we have to tell the full story about these things. Not everybody is built to sustain that. And that's okay. Yeah, the dating scene is messed up for all of us. Yes. But you can still decide how you want to date, how you want to show up in those situations. Maybe it's just not the time for you to be active in the dating scene. Maybe you need to take some time for yourself. Maybe you need to change your approach, or whichever the case. But if you're a woman who values love, connection, family, and things like that, do not fall into the pit of how the dating scene is looking right now. No, because that is going to do more harm to you than it is these men. Because one thing about men, they are so good at compartmentalizing. They are so good at doing that. They're very good at that. Women, not so much. Even if we can do it for a short time, we're not as good with that. Men can have a wife. Okay, this is the woman that I love. Like, this is my heart. And this is the woman that I just really like having sex with. He could do that for a lifetime. He could do that his whole life, and he'll be okay with it. He won't even feel any guilt when he's coming to his wife, all that other stuff. Like, they are a piece of work. They're very different. We cannot do that. So if you want to win in love, win in dating, you have to go about it like a woman. Simple as that. You cannot go in these situations dating like a man. It's going to burn you out. It's going to burn you out. It's not our true essence. And maybe you'll be good at it for a while, but at the end of it, you're going to come out with many scars that you're going to have to deal with. So, like I said, we just need to tell the full story of these things. If you're in this space where you're feeling spiritually depleted when it comes to dating or the type of men that you've been attracting, when you're having soul ties, you're realizing that you want intimacy, like true intimacy with a man and not just this casual thing going on, or if you're going through the same cycles with men, meeting the same men in different bodies and things like that, you're actually in a good space because you're at that point where you're ready to enter that sacredness, and you can enter this in an authentic way. You're not someone who is going into this being naive or delusional or anything like that. No, you've had true experiences. You're able to experience and say, hey, this isn't for me. So I'm going to try something different. And that's beautiful. So if you're feeling that, if you're feeling any of those ways that I mentioned, you're entering your sacredness era. When it comes to sacredness, it doesn't have to be boring, right? Like, I feel like when we speak about like the whole phase, it's so exhilarated, it's so fun. Like, you'll send the risky text, you'll send the nudes, you have fun in that era, right? But when you are entering that sacredness era, that sacredness phase where it's like you're just valuing yourself more, you can still have fun. You can still, sex is not shameful. Being sexy is not shameful. Enjoying your partner is not shameful. But like I said, you're just being more intentional with how you go about it. So just because you are changing and things of that nature, you can still take your playfulness and your flirtiness with you, but you're just more intentional on who you share that with and why you're sharing that. So, yeah, send the risky text. That's so fun. Like, still have fun in your situations with men, but just share that intimacy with men who are deserving of it, men who can connect with you from a heart space, who can have that capacity to connect with you from there. And don't be so transactional about it. It's okay. Sometimes we get in this role where we want to be transactional because we're trying to control or manipulate an outcome. You're going to leave with some scars when it comes to love. You cannot control people. You cannot control other people. Even if you do it for a while, it's not lasting. It won't last. When people get what they need or snap out of it or whatever the case is, they're just going to go back to their natural state. You cannot manipulate people. So just enter it authentically, have some tough skin, be intentional about who you open your heart and share yourself with, but you cannot control outcomes. You just simply cannot. So you might as well have some fun, be free, and be with who you want to be with. Just do it in a safe, in a sacred way, because sacredness is not boring. It's very sensual, it's magnetic, and it's powerful. So when you use that energy in the proper ways, you'll have much better experiences. When you're entering into that sacredness era, you want to set boundaries. You want to set intentional boundaries around your energy and around your body. So, how does these boundaries look in real life? So, when I say set those boundaries around your energy, around your body, when you enter into that sacredness, don't get me wrong, you're not going to have as many boyfriends as you had when you were in your liberation phase. You're just simply not, because there's literally not a lot of guys who are going to be worth your essence. So, that's just the bottom line. You have to get comfortable with spending time exploring yourself, spending time alone, hobbies, with friends, and being fulfilled in other areas, because you're simply not going to get as much attention as you would if you're in that whole phase. And that's just the truth of the matter. But those connections that you do have, they will be deeper and they'll be a lot more meaningful. And one thing about me, I connect with men very deeply. And I still get the same outcome that many women are looking for. Even my best friend, she'd be like, "Oh, these guys be tracking you down. Like they won't be talking to you for years and they come and find you." And it's like, yeah, because regardless of what the situation is, any man that I really connect, I loved him openly and I loved him deeply and I connected with him from my heart. And guys, they know when they have experienced real love. And one thing about me, I do not manipulate. If you want to go, you can go. Like, I'm not going to twist your arm. I'm not going to do any of that. I don't manipulate. I don't trick men. I don't have men feeling like, oh, sorry for me to get. No, I operate from a very pure heart space when it comes to men, and I still get the same outcome. I still get the things. I still get the attention. I still get the time. Like, I still get the same outcome as any other woman by just operating from a very pure space and from operating with boundaries, literally. You can't have monopoly over my time. Like, I have other things going on. I'm not going to go out with a man who I don't like. Like, I'm not even going to be texting on the phone all day with a man who I don't want to be with. And it's just simple as that. So when you get to that area or that stage, when you are setting those boundaries, you can operate from a pure heart because you are going to connect with the man who you're supposed to be with. Simple as that. You're not going to have a ton of boyfriends. No, because a lot of these guys are not worth your time and your energy. But the ones that you do and are able to connect with like that, you're going to have a much better experience. And it's going to be an experience that's tailored around you. You're not going to feel depleted with it because you're operating from a space that benefits you as well. Not just, oh, oh, all these men are just calling you, wanting something from you, and da da da. Listen, no. So set those boundaries so you're feeling empowered in these situations. So you're feeling safe and secure in these situations. And every time you want to choose alignment over attraction, a lot of guys are going to be attracted to you. Yes, many guys are going to be attracted to you, but not all guys are good for you. So you always want to put yourself in a position where you're in alignment with someone. And alignment is always going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to trigger you in ways, it may trigger them in ways because it's has some type of friction, right? Like it's two people really trying to get to know each other on a real level. So you may trigger each other. This may not be such a walk in the park, but you should always choose situations like that over people who just only want to sleep with you. That is exhausting for us as women over time because we need to be poured into as well. A man just coming and effing on you takes a lot of energy from you. So you want to always be in alignment with the man you decide to share yourself with. So that way you're also being poured back into and not poured in buying things, paying some bills and things like that is not enough if they are draining you energetically. A lot of men will pay your bills. A lot of men will help you with bills. And I'm not going to say a lot because honestly, the economy is they getting a little stingy right now. But you know what I'm saying? Like things take time, but men will help you. They want to help you. So you just always choose the man who can pour back into you energetically. I had this one friend, and we're not friends no more after this conversation. Now I'm about to tell y'all we weren't friends anymore, but I had this friend, and okay, she was dating a married man. No judgment here. Like, I know how married men be. Like, they really make an offer that's so hard to say no to. So like, I that wasn't the judgmental part for me. I didn't judge her about it at all, actually. But I had questions as this situation went along. So, anyways, she was dating him, and when she initially told me, I'm like, well, hey, I have nothing to say about this. Okay, cool. So also keep in mind, like, whenever I think of someone dating a married man, I just think of it as a cash grab, right? Like, surely you're not trying to fall in love with this woman's husband. Like, surely you have a plan, because we're all smart enough to know that it doesn't usually end that way. Like, people are not leaving their wives. Like, but okay, so when she initially told me, that was my thought process, or that's what I figured. So time is just going by, right? And it's always a different story, and always, all this other stuff. So now we're getting at like the 2 year mark. 2 years with a married man, when we are in our childbearing ages. Like, what's your plan, sis? So that's was my only question. I'm just like, okay, this has been some time now. Like, this has been 2 years. And, like, do you want children? Like, do you want to get married? Like, what's up? Like, what's your plan or whatever, like that? And she's like, oh, well, he gives me this, and like, oh, we go on like vacations, and oh, like my main goal is to get a house, and like all this earth stuff. And I'm just like, and that's one thing I will say, again, telling the full story, a lot of people who are in unconventional situations, they lie so much. Like, the women, they lie so much. They always make it seem like they're getting more from the situation than they actually are, because maybe they're trying to pacify themselves and not feel stupid in a situation that you're with someone who's married. So anything that you're getting is like his own personal, like, play budget. No woman is letting some little girl come in and like take from her family. Anyways, okay, I digress. So I'm just like, well, okay, but you're such a beautiful woman, like, and you're very smart. You could get these things on your own. But besides that, any man would love to buy you a house. Like, any man would love to bring you into his home, let you make it very homey and livable. You don't have to sacrifice that much. Like, we're women, we have a window. If having children is important to you, like, you have to think. Obviously, I wasn't this, I'm just talking crap now, but like, I wasn't this harsh what I was saying, but you have to think. Like, you have to think for the future. If you take your energy and put it into an actual traditional way of dating, you can find a man who will want to be with you, actually, and buy a home with you, or whichever the case is. Like, you don't have to pay such a heavy price for that with this married man. That is a dead end. Like, that's not going to go anywhere. And what woman is going to let a man buy another woman a house? Like, and that's what people don't think about. Like, oh, people have a lot to say about, oh, married women, and oh, men be cheated. Da, da, da. That's his wife. Nothing is moving without her say so in most situations. Like, she's not going to let thousands and thousands of dollars move without noticing that. But anyways, after that conversation, we didn't talk much, or whatever the case is. But I forgot why I was saying all of that. But that's the thing. Like, you don't have to pay such a heavy price for things. Like, you don't have to let old men who health is failing them and all this other stuff suck your good years from you, because they were building with their wife during their good years. Like, Come on. Even if you're a woman who's watching this and you're still in that liberated or that whole phase, or you're still operating in relationships out of hurt, that's okay. It's a journey. And like I said, I don't think in degrees of good and bad or right or wrong. Like, we're all just journeying through life and trying to figure it out. But what I would say is, when you take the time to actually face yourself, actually deal with the rejection, the abandonment, the father wounds, and things of that nature, you'll have a much better experience when it comes to men. It doesn't mean that you're broken or anything like that. It just means that you're journeying through. But you have to face that icky stuff. You have to be very honest with yourself before you elevate to that next level, before you evolve to that sacredness. And you can be sexy and free and sacred all at the same time. But if you keep running into the same situations, there's no surgery, there's no outfits, there's no handbags or anything that's going to fix what really needs to be done. You have to really truly put in that work so you could live in your full and your true power, because your body truly is a temple. And I hate to say that because sometimes it does sound a little corny, but no, when you really do heal, when you really do view and value yourself as a divine feminine woman, then you will see it as, hey, this is a temple. This is something holy. This is something beautiful. And I'm not going to just share it with anyone. I'm not going to share it with boys who make me cry, with boys that make me feel stupid, with boys that make me question my worth. I'm just simply not going to do it. I'm not going to go against my intuition or my deep knowing just to go out with boys for meals or whatever the case is, for some bill money or whatever the case is. When you really step into your true power, when you truly step into your true sacredness, those type of arrangements won't even excite you anymore. They won't excite you at all. They'll actually probably disgust you, because you don't want to share your energy and essence with people who are undeserving and who cannot pour back into you. And I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is that I'm not settling for non committal situations. And I'm also not betraying myself to be in committed situations. Like, there has to be balance. You have to meet me somewhere in the middle. And that's the thing when it comes to these situations. We think that they have to be all black and white. Okay, if you're not committed to a man, then you get the perks. But if you are committed to him, then you have to betray yourself and just get walked all over. No, this is your life. You set the playing field. There has to be balance at the end of the day. I know when I entered into my Heaux phase, it was totally fueled by disappointment, rejection, and abandonment. And that's why I really want to say, we have to stop letting men's treatment of us determine our worth. Because that's exactly what happened to me in that era. It has a lot more to do with his character than it has to do with your worth. And when you believe that, you won't fall into that trap. You won't misidentify yourself or see yourself as less of a woman and start acting out because that's how you view yourself and you're trying to regain control or worth. That behavior towards you is very independent of who you are and your worth. And when we get into those situations and we decide, hey, I'm never going to let a guy make me feel like that again, and we're standing up against the patriarchy and we're being liberated women, but we're actually just playing ourselves. In the long term, we're just playing ourselves. We're still falling right into that patriarchy game. We're still allowing men's views of us to determine how we're acting instead of acting and showing up in a way that's in alignment with who we truly are. I said it and I'll say it again. If you are attracted to men, your best bet is marriage. That's your highest form of protection. in that situation. But going into those situations because you've been disappointed by a man and just saying, oh, okay, well, yeah, like I'm just going to have sex with you and just leave. Why make it so easy for him? Or I'm just going to have sex with you, but you're going to have to pay me. Cool. That's like the easiest thing that a man can do. Like, men can make money so easily. Like, that's where their whole mind is wired to provide, to make money, so they don't have to come with nothing else, just some money, and they get to have the best part of you. Not the best part, but you know what I'm saying, but they get to have such a beautiful part of you. They get to just pay some money and get exactly what they want anyways without having to do anything. They could set a budget to how much they're going to pay for this, versus if you're their actual wife, you have about equal control of what's going on with the finances. So we just have to make sense. We can't just hear these buzzwords and hear someone talking very passionately on the internet and then say, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm going to stand up and I'm being standing up for my rights as a woman by just being sexually liberated and things like that. We have to think things through. We have to think things through. We have to look at the entire story, okay? So if you are going to be interested in men, if you're still attracted to men, if you're still going to deal with men, then the best way is commitment via marriage. That's the best way at the end of the day. And if you are at a phase where you hate men so much, then just stop effing on them. Like, that's the best. That's the, if you really want to stand up against the patriarchy, if you really want to, stick on where it hurts, just stop sleeping with them. But to sleep with them for free, or to sleep with them and set a price where they could budget it in and they ain't got to put in no type of effort, that does not make sense. You're falling right into the game. All right, y'all, that's all I have for today. So if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, turn on the bell notification so you're notified when we upload new episodes. You could find me on Instagram at Spoken Like a True Goddess. And until next time, bye.